Welcome back to Vlogmas. It is day 14 and today we are making cutting boards. Now I have to admit these are definitely decorative cutting boards, but we are going to use this as a final coat in case someone does use it for food. It has been a very busy day of Christmas shopping, returns, all of that stuff that seems to happen this time of year, so it is definitely late, but we're gonna try and get this done before it gets too dark. I mentioned the other day that I picked up this piece of wood. Our first step is to actually draw out each of the cutting boards, mostly how long we want it to be. I want each one to be unique, so I'm not going to measure, I'm just gonna freehand. This is a 6-foot board. I was hoping to get at least 5 of them out of here. So some of them are gonna be smaller. With my design, they actually need a handle. So I'm gonna take that into account as I cut these. We're just gonna cut the length on each one first and then cut out the handles. Now that we have each one, it's time to actually draw in the handles. I'm hoping that these look old and rustic, so I'm also not measuring for the handle, but I am trying to make sure that it's kind of in the middle. Also trying to celebrate different imperfections like that, so we're gonna make sure that that has plenty of space so that it doesn't break off. I think that one needs a bigger handle. We're gonna sand all of these so all of your marks are acceptable. I wanted to make one that was kind of round, and that would be this one. Kind of looks like a pumpkin. And then we need to cut those out. Because it's getting so dark, I'm just gonna pick 2 of them and go from there. Ouch. Well, I didn't record that one, but we have a circle. One thing I do want to mention is that when you're using a jigsaw like this, you need to be very careful. A thought that I usually have is that no one has ever cut their fingers off from things going right. So you always have to think about what might happen if things go wrong, which means you need to keep your fingers out of the direction of the blade always. It's kind of round. For the square ones, I also like to round the edges. And now it's time to sand. Using a heavy grit sandpaper is gonna save a ton of time. We are gonna start out with 50 to do all the very rough sanding, and then go a little higher for the surface sanding. For these, I am doing some really aggressive sanding to round out all of the corners and the edges. half of this done, you can see how everything here is really round, and just on the other side how sharp it still is. That's why that 50 grit is so important. Watch how fast that comes out. I am gonna do that edge, but you can see how quick all of that is just sanded right out. I did do those surfaces really fast with the 50. Now I'm gonna do 80 and 120, and then we'll be done sanding. Lucky for me, now that this part is done, we can actually do the rest inside. So I'm gonna clean all this up and head in. I don't know if this space is any more aesthetic than the garage, but at least it's bright and you can see what we're doing. These are the two that you just saw me cut. And then these are the two that you saw on Sunday that I already had done. All of these have been sanded and wiped off, and they just need to be finished. To do that, we're gonna be using cutting board oil. This instruction states that it can be used on an existing cutting board to help kind of refinish it, but for brand new boards, it needs 2 to 3 coats. More if it's thicker, but these are only an inch thick, so 2 to 3 will be enough. And you have to wait an hour between each coat. This is designed to soak all the way into the wood, which is what's gonna make it water resistant, so we don't wanna skimp on this. Hopefully this specific product works really well. If it does, I will link it in the description so that you can check it out. The nice part about being inside is that it is warmer. Not only was I starting to get cold, but sometimes things just don't finish as well when it's cold outside. And this is food grade, by the way. I'm gonna advertise these as decorative, but if someone did use it for like a charcuterie board, I don't want it to be an issue. And I don't know how much it's gonna use. And then you apply with a clean, dry cloth. The color is really pretty. I did expect it to really darken up. Ooh, that did not do as much as I expected. It does say to apply liberally and then wipe off excess. Since this is an oil, I'm going to be really careful about getting it on my clothes. I'm going to wait to do the bottom side until this top is dry, but I am going to make sure I get the edges. So I'm going to let that one sit. And show you kind of the difference here. You can see that this is the side with the oil and this is the side without, except for my fingerprints. I love how this is highlighting kind of those unique spots in the wood. Maybe an imperfection, but not to me. You can see the difference. This side is done and this one isn't yet. I hope this works because it is super easy. I think what I'm going to do so that I can do both sides at once is go ahead and put oil on the other side and then lean them up against the wall. That way I can save time and let both sides soak in together. So the only reason these would not be good as actual cutting boards is because they're made of pine. Being that it's really the first time I've made these or tried to sell them, I did use the less expensive wood. Something like oak or walnut would have been much better to actually cut on and avoid getting cut marks on the board. But those woods are also more expensive. So this was actually a cheaper way for me to practice and see what I could actually do.
Do you know you have 500 subscribers?
I have 500 subscribers! Wow!
500.
That's awesome. I'm gonna let that soak in for an hour or so, and then I'll be back for another coat. Okay, it has been over an hour. I have to say, it didn't soak up as much as I expected. It seems like the boards I sanded tonight soaked up more of the oil than the boards that I had sanded the other day. This, very soaked. Either way, I'm gonna add a second coat to both of them. The best part about doing more than one coat is that you can make sure you didn't miss any of the spots, especially on these edges. After doing this and coming in for the second coat, I would recommend using as small of cloth as possible because this has just soaked up so much of the oil. Although I have to say we did use less than I expected. I absolutely love these imperfections. Hopefully everyone appreciates them as much as I do. It's definitely been over 2 hours since I did the first coat, and I expected that it would have soaked in more than it did. So I'm gonna wait until tomorrow to do the third coat. I'm really excited with how these turned out. You're gonna have to let me know in the comments what you think. I'm excited to both decorate with them and put them in my booth. But that does it for day 14 of Vlogmas. I do not have another project planned for tomorrow. Instead, I have a few errands to run. Luckily, you're gonna be coming along for the ride. I'll see you then.